I'd like to look at with you now more specific risk conditions that make us worry about a child's ability to handle two languages. And in essence, these are really the learning disabilities that a child can have. So firstly, we have what's now referred to since a few months as developmental language disorder. This is the term that's being used for what used to be called primary language impairment or specific language impairment, and way before that, developmental dysphagia. What's important to remember about developmental language disorder is that the child who struggles, say, understanding instructions or understanding grammar because of their developmental language disorder, that child will also struggle when that same information is presented in writing. So as teachers, you would want to really keep in mind that written language has a component that is really identical to the oral language piece. Next, we fall into the more classical learning disabilities, or what's referred to in the DSM as specific learning disabilities. The DSM is just the document, the Bible that is used by psychologists and psychiatrists to diagnose learning disabilities. And so the umbrella term that's used for learning disabilities is specific learning disabilities. And under that, we have written language disabilities, more specifically reading, written language disabilities, more specifically writing, and math disabilities. So with written language disabilities, reading, this is the area that includes dyslexia. And dyslexia represents 80% of all learning disabilities, which is why that's the one that you would have heard the most about in terms of learning disabilities. And written language disabilities that affect reading tend to manifest themselves as speed or accuracy of decoding issues. So the child is slow at decoding or inaccurate at sounding out the words. And this can cause a secondary problem with reading comprehension, because if I'm decoding the word table as tub, it'll be almost impossible for me to figure out this object that I'm supposed to be thinking about as I'm reading that word. With respect to written language disabilities affecting writing, when the problem involves poor spelling, the term for that is dysorthographia. And when the problem involves more handwriting, then that's dysgraphia. And we can also have an individual who has a problem with respect to written expression. So expressing, writing complete sentences and expressing clear thoughts through writing.